and the Washington Diplomats. Hello everybody, Steve Thimmel along with Cliff McCrath and Simon Osler. Tonight, a big game for Seattle. We said it last time when they played Dallas, but again it's a big one in the playoff hopes for Seattle as we find out on this Wednesday evening that Toronto has been defeated by Philadelphia 4-1. That is the team that Seattle is in pursuit now for the playoffs.
We said the other night, Steve, that as discouraging as the loss was to Dallas, that the team really had to come back and look at every game from here on out as a possible rescue game where they would go for total points, maximum points. And even against a tough team like the Washington Diplomats, who have been playing very well and are comfortably in second place in their division, I think they're going to pull off a 3-2 victory tonight.
Washington is in pursuit of the Cosmos, and the first game between these two teams was a wide open match. Seattle had 24 shots on goal, but Washington tonight may play a little bit more defensively as Seattle really probably will go on the attack tonight.
Well, Washington lost the other night in California on this road trip, and that makes a team even more defensively minded, particularly if they've got a good position going into the playoffs. And I don't think they're challenged or threatened as far as their possibility of making the playoffs. They just want to finish high up in the point system. But they're going to pose a threat for Seattle. Seattle's got the inspiration of knowing that Toronto lost tonight, and Dallas is behind at halftime up at Edmonton. We just got that score 2-0. So I think Seattle's going to come out playing inspired soccer. Some of the changes that we see with a couple of the American boys on the bench means that they're going to go with the tested professionals, and I think they're going to go all out for it.
It's the Seattle Sounders versus the Washington Diplomats. The Sounders trying to move on to the heels of Toronto. Now down to the field with Simon Osler and Washington Diplomat coach Gordon Bradley.
Thank you, Steve. I've got Gordon Bradley with me tonight, the coach of the Washington Diplomats. Gordon, we're heading into the playoffs. You've been around the league a number of years. Do you think this year is going to be tougher than everybody, or is New York going to dominate?
I think, Simon, it's got to be tougher. The league's getting better as the years go on, and you and I have been in it since 1967. And, of course, since that time, the league has improved tremendously. The Cosmos at this time certainly have got the strongest team, with the addition of Neeskens, to my reckoning, one of the better midfield players in the world. I think they're going to be favourites to win it. But other teams that I think have got to go on with a chance are certainly Minnesota, of course Tampa, and possibly Fort Lauderdale. Vancouver must be in it with a chance. I'd like to think that we are as well.
Well, assuming that you're going to be in the final, who do you think will be there with you?
Well, New York cannot because we're in the same conference, so we'll have to go for possibly Tampa.
Okay. Seattle. Seattle haven't beaten you, and tonight it's obviously a lot tougher for them than it is for you because you're secured a position. What can you expect? Is your strategy going to be different because it's a do-or-die match for them?
Well, it is, and I'm sure they're going to be bringing the game to us, Simon. They're going to be attacking, and they have to, because if they lose this one tonight, it could be suicidal for them. So we're prepared to play maybe a defensive game and maybe come out on counter-attacks to win it. But it is a do-or-die game for Seattle. They're going to be up for the game. I know they are. It's going to be a tough game, an enjoyable game, and hopefully an entertaining one for the fans.
Your players are up for it?
We're up for it, yes.
Okay. Good luck tonight.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thanks.
Okay, Steve, back up to you.
The referee tonight, in the middle there, is David Syme. He's the fellow with the tan. And on the left, John Morris of Vancouver. On the right, Neil Ellett, they're the linesman. He's also from Vancouver, and the alternate is Terry Seen. Sounders in their home whites tonight, moving from right to left. And the Diplomats in the first half, moving from left to right in their visiting red uniforms. The starting lineups, first for the Diplomats. In goal, Bill Irwin. On the back line, it will be Tommy O'Hara, Don Draghi, Jim Steele, and Bob Irushi. They'll run four at midfield with Ken Mokajoa, Bobby Stokes, Rene Brevoort, and number 17, Sonny Askew. And up front, 28, Alan Green, and number 9, Paul Cannell. And for the Seattle Sounders in goal, Mike Ivanhoe, Adrian Webster, Ron Davies, Ian Bridge, and John Impey on the back line. At midfield, Mickey Cave, number 12, number 15, Steve Buttle, and number 19, Frank Barton. And up front, Derek Smethurst, number 10, Alan Hudson, number 4, and Jimmy Neighbor back in the lineup, number 8. Seattle on a move. Here's Jimmy Neighbor crossing midfield, or crossing the 35-yard line. He sidesteps one man into the attacking zone, winds up for a shot, and Irwin takes it on one hop. Some scores tonight. Atlanta 2, Houston 1. Philadelphia, again, the big win over the Toronto Blizzard 4-1.
And I think Edmonton stole that game from Dallas, so Dallas goes home without any points up there. And you know, we mentioned one time, Steve, that Philadelphia could sneak in that American Conference into the 8th playoff spot. Got an excellent coach, a Yugoslavian coach who believes in a patient, creative kind of build-up, very organized. And they've got some good scoring personnel in David Robb. So they've got some people that could sneak in there and nose New England out if New England has a tough time down the stretch.
Hudson backheeling it now for Steve Buttle. Got Mickey Cave wide open in the middle, but they come to the defender, John Impey. Now Cave chipping it into the box for Impey. Impey trying to cross one in front. Here's Hudson, and it's knocked off the line by Mokajoa. Great play by number 15, Ken Mokajoa, as they had Irwin off the line.
I'll tell you, that's one of the most exciting build-ups we've seen. This one-touch give and go is going to work very effectively against that packed defense. And here you see John Impey get it over top. Alan Hudson's got it already, except for Mokajoa. And that's where, when the goalkeeper's been beaten like he was, you've got to have the defender check back on the line and pull off one of those very courageous saves. So between the lip and the foot, there's a save there for Mr. Mokajoa, and Mr. Irwin owes him one now, so if he makes a mistake during the game, Uncle Billy's got to come through and save him. We hope not.
Now here comes Cave, quickly putting it off to Smethurst, who one-touches it to the wing to Neighbor. Neighbor across the 35. Cave goes far post. It's Smethurst in the middle. Neighbor is tripped up, but there's no call as O'Hara gets to the ball first. Now here's Barton. Barton rifles a shot, and it's just over the top. As he saw Irwin start to sneak out, in case one of the Washington Diplomats would put the ball back to him, and so he came off his line just about a yard or two, and Barton saw that, saw the goalkeeper standing, and took that rocket shot.
Boy, if that Irwin doesn't look like Craig Weckerser up there at the Everett Herald, I can't believe it. There's at least one or two people out there in TV land thinking of our friend Sam Koza, who wrote in, talked to us about the broadcast, and we thank Sam, who's now made the chairman of the Seattle chapter, KCTS broadcast. Sam says he really likes the broadcast, and we appreciate your cards and letters, Sam.
Hiroshi into Mokajoa, who tried to chest trap it, perhaps play it over his shoulder to Green, but he lost ground on that one, and it comes out to Seattle. Neighbor flying in it near the 35. Now he serves a ball up to Barton. Seattle on the move quickly. Barton centering one in front. Looks for Smethurst. It comes out now to Hudson. It is played by Brevoort. Now to Buttle. Buttle in against, Draghi. Now takes it around him. Buttle in front. Far side. Cave shoots right on as it's deflected away by Irwin. And Cave wanted it, or Impey wanted Cave to play it back towards Impey in the middle on the far post.
Well, boy, old Mickey Cave's got to feel snake bit, because this is the second time in as many games that he's had one right in the back of the net, and a keeper came out and robbed him, and there we watch Bill Irwin come out again as he comes out and grabs a ball at least 8 feet in the air with his big height and that flowing mane, and it might be that Seattle's going to have to go in the halftime, figure out what to do with goalkeepers.
Mokajoa starts in. He gets around one man, now off to Askew. Askew, a shot, it's blocked. Now it's Mokajoa for the rebound, but Bridge gets a foot to it, and now Buttle has it as it deflected off of Ivanhoe. A hard shot by Sonny Askew. There's Neighbor at the 35. We'll see it again.
We'll see a nice penetration here, a little bit of a mix-up on defense. Askew takes a howitzer, could have got through. And Mokajoa comes back. He's going to finish it off, but for young Ian Bridge, who valiantly went for the ball from the carpet, and he got it back to Stevie Buttle and out of trouble.
Cannell chipping it off for Green. Green starts in against Bridge. He's got to get some support. Green sending it off to Mokajoa, but there's Adrian Webster on the deflection. And now out to Neighbor. Neighbor trying to sidestep Irushi, does so, and now evades Melkajoa. Now slants towards the middle of the field and explodes across the midfield stripe. On the outside of the foot to Hudson. Neighbor goes down now into the penalty area as Hudson brings it out to the 35, chipping it back to Neighbor. A wall pass for Hudson, but Askew gets in the way. Hudson kicks Askew in the chin, it looks like, or in the shin, and Askew is down. Actually, it looks like he might. Where did he get hit? They're looking at his left knee, it looks like.
Well, I think he got it in the Adam's apple. That's a heck of a long way from his knee.
Gee, we went all over the anatomy for that one.
Now, this wasn't an intentional foul at all. Alan Hudson's a battler. He's going to protect himself, as we see there in the replay. When Askew came up to block the ball, Huddy was in full stride. He couldn't do anything else but try to put out his hand and protect himself. And there we see him shaking hands. He was telling David Syme, he said, hey, I'm not out here to do injury to the lad, which of course is a word for boy or man, but the English brought it over, so we'll use it.
Alan Green, jockeying for a position against Bridge. Now Buttle gives him help. Buttle misses. Green chipping it for Cannell. There's Impey. Impey quickly plays it back to Ivano as Cannell came moving in. Barton, now Neighbor. He eludes two men towards midfield. Now a third man in Stokes. Neighbor playing it on the instep to Buttle. He's able to get the defenders backpedaling and then really can do just about what he wants to with them.
Well, and he just spins his web around those defenders, or even the midfielders and the rest of them.
He tried to loft this one.
Good point. Good point. For give a B+ to Frank Barton on that, because Irwin's got a tendency to begin to come out as the attack develops into the box, and Frank knows that. He's figured that out right away, and he's looking for that little space in behind. He chipped one over top.
Under 2 minutes to play in the first half, no score. Irwin controlling in his own box. And at this pace, we will not see a 3-2 match tonight. At this pace. Davies to Neighbor, trying to backheel it. The ricochet to Barton, now up to Neighbor. Neighbor races up the right side. Stokes gives chase. He comes into the attacking zone. Neighbor looking in front, and there is Steele to head it away. Askew, now Buttle moving in. Buttle running the larger Askew off the ball. Buttle chipping at Cave, far side. Irushi is there. Now Barton moves in to get the rebound off Irushi. Barton playing it to Smethurst. Smethurst on the outside to Cave, moving in. Cave trying to rifle it in front. Smethurst shot just wide. It's deflected by Irwin.
Well, I think Stevie Buttle got a crack at that off of Derek Shin when Mickey Cave laid the howitzer through there. And it all goes back to that old battling principle again. There's Mickey's shot in there, and Stevie and Derek must have combined to get a crack at that. And now we got a little bit of difficulty over in the corner where we've got Frank Barton wondering what space is his. Oh yes, there it is. That's a frequent occurrence. The corner flag lost its balance. Couldn't stand the weight of Frank Barton, and here's the in-swinger.
Barton looking in, and it's Steele to head it away. Oh, but Seattle has had a couple of headers. They had Buttle's play there. Now Seattle has to come onside. They haven't been offside yet. Buttle moving into the attacking zone, far post, looking for Impey. He locks arm with O'Hare, and finally it's cleared away with a half a minute to go. It goes into touch. Seattle putting a little bit of pressure on here in the last 2 minutes. Cave on the far side to throw this one in with 17 seconds. Now looks for Bridge, but it's cleared away, or getting a foot in with Stokes with 12 seconds to go. Stokes circling back against Bridge, tried to play it between his ankles. Now with 5 seconds, Cave has to get this one in. Cave for Impey. Impey trying to put it on for Buttle. Buttle playing it over his shoulder for Bridge, and it's O'Hare picking it off. And that is the end of the first half of play between Washington and Seattle. Seattle closing the last 2 minutes with pressure, and a shot on a deflection by Steve Buttle. That was blocked again by Bill Irwin, who picks up where Alex Stepney left off on Saturday night. And the halftime score, Seattle nothing, Washington nothing.
Yeah, we've seen a rash of goalkeeping here in the last couple of games, Steve, and Seattle's going to have to find the back of the net. One of the ways they do that is by serving the ball to both the near and the far post, which is a very dangerously served ball and fits very well with what's been attempted by Seattle here in the first half. And our halftime tip for tonight's game by Bobby Howe, Jeff Stock, and young Mark Peterson is on attacking the goal with the ball at near and far post. So down to the field with Bobby Howe and the young Sounders for our tip of the game.
Today's soccer tip deals with attacking the ball at near post. In games, we try to play the ball from wing positions into a near post area or into an area outside the furthest post away from the goalkeeper, because we feel that these are two vulnerable areas for an opposing defense, and also areas which our opposing goalkeeper cannot deal with the ball very comfortably. So let's see what happens now when Jeff attacks the ball at near post, and I'll defend him on this particular play. In that situation there, I was able to see Jeff, because he's made a run from there and straight onto the post, I'm able to see him and the ball at the same time, so that when the ball is played in, I'm able to clear it very easily. Now let's see what happens when Jeff makes an angled run from an area round about the far post here. That's an excellent ball in there from Mark Peterson, and Jeff made a well-timed run into near post, although he didn't score in that particular instance. But it was very difficult for me to be able to defend Jeff on that play, because I cannot see him and the ball at the same time. So let's go over one or two of those points again. When attacking the ball at near post, don't run straight in towards the post, because your opponent is able to see you and the ball at the same time. And secondly, you're running across the line of the flight of the ball, and that makes your header or your shot very difficult. But if you make an angled run from behind your opponent, he cannot see you and the ball at the same time. And secondly, you're in the line of the flight of the ball.
First half statistics in this 0-0 match. Seattle with 10 shots to the Diplomats 6. Washington had 9 fouls, Seattle 7. Corner kicks, Seattle had the edge there, 5-3. Neither team was offside. There were no cautions. Now here's a play in front to Green. Green backhilling it. Barton playing it on to Ivano. Still no score. Steve Fummel along with Cliff McGrath and Simon Osler from the Kingdom. And we also would like to say hello to all the folks watching on KWSU in Pullman and KYVE in Yakima. If you have any cards and letters to send along, you folks in Pullman or Yakima or even here in Seattle or up in Vancouver, KCTS 9 Sports, 4045 Brooklyn Avenue Northeast, Seattle, Washington 98105. That's the address, and we'd love to hear from you. But maybe this is an omen of things to come, as Seattle, the Mariners, have finally defeated Baltimore at Memorial Stadium, Seattle winning 5-4, and hopefully both Seattle teams can bring home the trophy tonight.
Well, at least one of them has, and everybody in press row down below, Steve, at halftime, we're talking about the goalkeeping. Billy Irwin, of course, the best in the conference right now, giving us all kinds of fits here in Seattle, coming off the line, gathering in the crosses, stopping a couple of point-blank shots. Another amazing header by Mickey Cave. Mickey's got to be talking to himself, because he's doing everything he's done in other years when he's led the Sounders in scoring, and yet he's coming up with the luck of the draw against him, as we've seen some outstanding goalkeeping here in the last couple of matches.
And we should note again that Washington came in here tonight with playing defensively. That's what they had on their mind. So if they should happen to put one in, they may just go into a shell. And they have the defense to do it.
Well, they've been in a shell really most of the game. They haven't shown that much interest in attacking, and the statistics bear it out a little bit. But the big problem here, of course, is that Seattle is, we saw a good shot there that could have been trouble. But Seattle was finding very good penetration opportunities there in the first few minutes, and we'll even take a look at the replay here as Mokajoa comes in and takes a left-footed spinning kick that could have been trouble, particularly if it had been played in a hurricane. Speaking of hurricanes, they lost tonight in Atlanta. Another one of those 2-1 victories for Atlanta that continues to amaze us.
Buttle sending it back to Impey. Now one touch back to Buttle. Buttle trying to get around Stokes. It's Neighbor. Playing it off to Barton. Barton serves it up to Webster. Webster chips it high and nowhere in particular. And it is Draghi. Draghi miskicks it though. And we have one player, new player in, Ani Mihailovic, number 26 for Washington, coming in for Steele. Jim Steele, number 8. Barton now at his own 35. Chipping it for Ian Bridge. And Bridge for Jimmy Neighbor. Neighbor looking for Hudson to the outside, gets it to him at the 35. He starts in, it's O'Hara on his heels. Hudson now getting it off to Neighbor. Neighbor sidesteps one man, playing it back in the middle for Barton, who winds up. It's Smethurst, but they're offside. Cave and Smethurst offside as Barton sent that one in. And they would have been looking for a ricochet. It was a shot by Barton.
Good hustling for the ball by Jimmy Neighbor. And another one of those one-touch shots, but we can see there on the screen that Mickey looked like he was fairly good depth there offside, but again, we'll let the fans who saw it be the best judge.
Still no score in the match. Seattle needing to win this one, and Washington has defeated Seattle 4 times out of 4.
I'd say that's kind of a nemesis.
Yeah. Here's the corner being taken by Askew. Ivanhoe, Cannell around the ball, a shot. Webster has to play it off the line. As Ivanhoe came out, and I think it was Cannell who got it, but I'm not sure who put the head to it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing,
We'll
Steve, that's a perfect clinic for why defenders must hold that line. And here we see Askew's outswinger coming across, and that
was Draghi.
Yeah, it was Draghi, the old American college player. Too bad those guys can't play soccer. And he put one in the net, but for Adrian Webster. Seattle can't afford to get the least bit complacent back there, Steve, because Washington's the kind of team that can lull you a little bit. They don't seem to come at you with any kind of a wide open vicious attack like they might have done in Washington. They just kind of wait.
Oh, Neighbor takes it through Stokes' ankles, comes into the attacking zone, a rocket shot, and Irwin makes the save. Jimmy Neighbor getting around 2 Washington diplomats.
Now here you go, under the bridge. He just tapped it through his legs very coolly, pushes it again, gets by and into the box, and from about 8 yards out takes a howitzer at Irwin. And again, I don't think Irwin quite saw it. He just kind of hunched his shoulders and put his arms out. The ball hit him, and he continues to be the impregnable rock there.
Looking far post. Here comes Barton in for a shot, and it's blocked by Washington as the ball got loose. It's Impey at the 35. Now sending it off to Neighbor. Neighbor looking for Smethurst. He comes through, a shot, hits the post. Now Bridge trying to win it. A beautiful centering pass by Neighbor to Smethurst. Oh my, Seattle just cannot put one in the back of the net. It's Buttle to Neighbor on the wing, trying to move around. Stokes, another cross. Irushi to knock it away. Now Brevoort ahead for Cannell on the right wing. Sending it back for Mihailovic, and maybe we'll get another shot at the one that hit the crossbar by Derek Smethurst. Here comes Irushi to Mihailovic at the 35. Nobody on him now. Sending it in front for Askew. Askew sending it back in the middle. There's Green, a shot, it's blocked by Impey. Now it's Webster moving into the attack. Mihailovic sending it back, and Washington maintains possession. Into Mokajoa, around Impey. He starts in, sending it off to Askew, tries to cross it in front. There's Davies in the passing lane. Now Impey to Buttle. Buttle sending it out to Barton, and Seattle has broken up that rush by Washington. Alan Hudson to Barton now. Barton still in the Seattle half. He's got Neighbor at the Seattle 35. Elects to go to Hudson, but he's cut off by Brevoort. But the ricochet back out to Hudson to Barton now. Barton on the instep to Buttle. Buttle with space as he approaches the 35. It's Irushi giving him some ground. Now serves it up to Neighbor on the wing. He's got room to work, but Neighbor mishits this one, and oh, he's holding his hands to his head, and he can't believe how he shanked that one like out at the 15th fairway at Jefferson.
Which is a golf course, folks, in case you are wondering. And since it's a municipal court, that's not a commercial message. And besides, if you believe in the validity of a young law student who doesn't know one end of a golf club from the other, you won't show up at the 15th green at Jefferson. but we've certainly showed up as far as getting balls crossed in a very dangerous way. And both Irwin and his teammate, that crossbar, 24 feet by 4 by 4, has certainly shut the door solidly on some very good and dangerous attacks for Seattle.
Now Steve Buttle in his own end. He's trying to serve it up to Cave in a foot race with Mihailovic. Irwin has to stay home. It comes in front to Smethurst. Smethurst and Brevoort going for it. Now it's Neighbor. Neighbor serving it up to Hudson. He tries to elude one man, but he stays put right now. Hudson to Smethurst, back to Hudson in the box. Trying to cross one in front, and it's off of a Washington Diplomat. We'll have a corner kick, as it was O'Hara and Brevoort giving chase.
Now this is the one-touch tactic that the Seattle team started out with, Steve. Very good opportunity to get through a packed defense. It's a right tactic. It's a beautiful one. It's great soccer. And Seattle just got to get that ball in the net.
Hudson necking it on. He scores!
No sooner said than done. Stevie Buttle serves an in-swinger. Alan Hudson nicks it on, and he gets credit for it. That's all he needed. Alan Hudson gets the goal.
His first goal of the year, and a big one, as it comes with over 28 minutes remaining in the match. And Seattle, knocking on the door numerous times, finally puts one into the back of the net, and they lead the Washington Diplomats 1-0.
And Steve, that was a magnificent goal. It's a tactic that Seattle's been using on their set plays, their corner kicks, as we see a half Lesmer Perotti memorial shot that knocked down one of the panels of the Volkswagen fire away at the hole in the wall contest boards. And here we go, Stevie Buttle. A nice in-swinger. Alan Hudson nicks it over top, and it's exactly where no one can get to it. And Seattle's got the goal that they've already earned 3 or 4 times tonight. They actually have gained that goal about 3 times so far, and it finally paid off.
Steve Buttle with his 5th assist of the year. The time of the goal, 61:08. And Seattle leads it 1-0.
And you know, Steve, we got a shot up close on the glasses of Bill Irwin just after that goal was scored, and the ball's being reset at midfield for the kickoff. And you could see that expression on his face, which said, well, I really think they probably earned it, because he'd done everything he could do to keep them out. His teammates haven't done much to keep Seattle from shooting and penetrating, and I think we're now going to see a rash of goals that we predicted earlier on.
Barton moving into space. Now off to Adrian Webster. Webster playing it back for Hudson, but we've said it before that the Diplomats are a second-half team primarily, and they are an explosive team. Buttle looking in for Webster as he tried to chip it over the top of Mihailovic, but it's Irushi playing it to the wing. Barton gets upended by Askew and wins the ball, and play goes on. It's Mickey Cave. He looks for Smethurst at the near post. Hits the bar! And it's cleared away as Seattle applying the pressure right now. They lead it 1-0, and Smethurst has hit the bar and hit the post.
Well, here we see again. He's done it several times tonight in the last game, whether it's the post or Alex Stepney's hand for Dallas or Bill Irwin stopping point-blank shots. Seattle's had enough to make good 4 or 5 goals tonight, and it's just a situation where Washington's kind of standing still. They're not marking people now. They're starting to get a little disorganized, and I think it's time when Seattle has to decide whether they are going to go back positively on attack or whether they're going to withdraw and say, let's protect our 1-goal lead.
There comes Green. He comes through on Bridge and tries to chip it far. And a close call for Seattle as the explosiveness of Alan Green as he speeds past Ian Bridge to get that pass from Irushi.
And I'll tell you somebody else right now that's knocking himself as Green makes this dash, and you see Irushi gives the through pass to a questionable run because Green could have been offside. And right now, just behind the picture there, you don't see it, is Paul Cannell, who stood there just outside of Adrian Webster with his hands on his hips because he knew that he quit running. And had he continued on to that far post like any good collegiate player is trained to do, he'd have been in there to finish it off. Seattle can be thankful that he's just a library candidate, sits out there and reads the passing headlines.
Masico in the corner. Now he puts it into play to Askew, now to Masico. He comes in deep, sidesteps one man, puts it in front, scores!
And here we see a yellow card being given to Paul Cannell by Mr. Syme, because young Cannell, as we see Masico, a late substitute, coming by, knocking the ball. It's more a deflection than it is a score. And we did pick up the number there. It looks like it might be, might have been Askew or...
I didn't see
a blonde-haired guy.
So fast.
Remember that? It's the old blonde-haired guy.
There were so many jerseys around the ball on that cross from Masico as he got by one man, penetrated into the box for a volley, and the game is tied at 1-1 with 3:10 to play. Seattle looking like they had this one in hand. Here comes O'Hara now. Seattle has to hang on as now the momentum has swung. A lead pass to Masico. Cannell, and there's Buttle to clear it away. Now to Smithhurst. 4-on-3.
I think the goal is by Brook.